it is time for us to move.
Oh.
And when I said that, and all of a sudden, when you came against it, all hell started breaking. I don't know if you can say that on YouTube,
Yeah,
but
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening to this podcast. Welcome to, what are we welcome to, Pastor T?
Unscripted with the Hardens.
She's so, what's the word I want to call? Extra.
Petty?
Extra. We had a whole discussion.
No, whatever. We're not going to talk about that.
Before we got started, we had a discussion who's going to start, and I demanded I started first, and she getting her feelings.
That's okay.
But anyways, we are back again for another episode. Listen, we are excited about all our episodes, all our recordings. If you've been keeping up with us, if you haven't, go back and watch episode 1 and 2 and whatever many episodes we had. This whole entire, rendition of episodes is getting you to get to know us. We're a firm believer of people don't care what you know until you know what you care. So if you've been following us in our life as whether a member of the church, if you've been a member of the Lions Den, a member of the BAM community, a member of, just different things that we've done in the past, if you have been around us, you've been hearing bits and pieces of us.
And even if you don't know us, I would add that too. Even if you don't know us, just kind of rock out, watch these videos. I always say Google, research, find out about us. But we want to say thank you to everyone that has liked, shared, whatever, been a part of this. We thank you for going on the journey with us.
Yeah. We tried to, as we build this podcast, we've told many times by other people that we need to do this, and done a lot of work. We want to give a shout out all the time to our sound tech, our cameraman, Devin Simon has done a great job of setting us up and keeping us going. So if you own, just give some celebration to him. I also always want to shout out Harden Enterprise Services LLC, who makes this possible, funding this. Until we get other funders who want to support us along the way, we're going to always shout out Harden Enterprise. But today's topic is going to go a little deeper. We talked in the past about, what was the word? Not commitment. What was the word?
Endurance.
We talked about endurance. Well, as we were talking, something popped in my mind, and I said, you know what? I really want to talk about a time of my life. I think I was talking to Devin, and I said, people really need to know about this, how we overcame homelessness. And we can't really talk about overcoming homelessness until we talk about how we became homeless. So I want to kind of tell that story a little bit, how we lived in Conroe. Kind of talk about how we ended up in Conroe, the journey to Conroe and the house. And
first of all, we ended up in Conroe because we lived in the hood. Yes, Greens Point in Houston, Texas, if you're not familiar. Guns Point. We lived down there, and I was pregnant with one of Alana, which is her birthday is coming up. She'll be 21. I was pregnant with her, and we were on our way to the apartment. And I never forget it. As I'm getting the girls out, all we hear is crash and pow, 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 pow. We hear gun shooting. And while we're in the midst of hearing gun shooting, Devin, I'm 7 months pregnant.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get out the car. We have the little baby, which is Kiana. And so I'm getting out the car, trying to get into the house, get into the apartment. And so as I'm going to the apartment, the person that they were shooting at was running on the other side of the gate beside me. And I'm looking at them and they looking at me, and I'm sitting up here like, no, I squat down. We had I think you had the baby in your hand. Yeah. We just trying to get to the house, get safe. And I think we went on vacation and we came back. That was one point.
That was one point.
Yeah, and then we was like, how do we get out of this lease? We don't want to break this lease, which we probably should have, but we was too. We was even trying to be godly then, trying to keep our name. So it was like, we're not gonna, get out this lease. But then we go on vacation, we come back, and the cops had ran through our entire house because they thought someone was in the house dead.
And it was flies.
We had left it on the back of the porch.
No, the trash was in the house.
No, it was on the back of the porch.
Well, how'd the flies get in the house?
I don't know, but it was on the back of the porch. Yeah. It was on the back of the porch. It wasn't in the house.
All the house, and they said it was a dead body, but once they walked in and realized it wasn't, they still ramshacked the whole entire apartment.
They took out everything, turned over our beds, turned over the couch, just left everything there. And it was like, okay, that's enough. Like, we got to get out of here. And we talked to the people and told them all what happened. And they finally let us out. They said, okay, y'all have a family. You're pregnant. I understand this is a bad neighborhood. Thank you.
And this is a good kickoff to us overcoming homelessness, because what you're going to find out if you keep listening to the end is that I believe we was anointed to be homeless. It was an appointment of our life to be homeless.
I don't even know how to take that.
But I really do believe, I think it was God's will for us to be homeless. And the reason why, because just like it was God's will, then the whole concept of this whole beginning is what Maury just brought out. I believe if we wouldn't have went through that, we would have stayed in that apartment too long.
We would have stayed in Houston. Yeah. We would have stayed in the Houston area. But you were working in Conroe.
I was working in Conroe.
But we was living in Houston. We were going to church in Houston. But we realized it was time for us to move.
Was it around? That's weird. Because it's around the same time we was actually having some disconnects at church.
Yeah.
And God was trying to push us more to the Woodlands area. Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how long we was in that apartment in Conroe. But long story, it was like God was pushing us out of there. Excuse me. God was pushing us out of there. And then we ended up in an apartment complex, still mentality. And that's what you got to realize if you're watching this podcast, one thing you're going to learn about me and my wife is that every shift, every scenario, there's a spiritual intent behind it. We're right now looking backwards. We're recognizing the spiritual intent of God's really transition. And I want to tell you, no matter what you're in, no matter what you're going through, I promise you, that scripture that says that everything works together for the good of the Lord, that scripture is so true. Right. So when we look back at it, the gunshots was for our good. We look back at it, the ramshack of the apartments for our good. It literally was pushing us back towards where God wanted us to be at in the first place.
Yeah, and back to a safe environment for our children. And then we ended up, moving into the apartment that was in Conroe. We ended up going to our church home.
Apartment.
It was a very nice, baby. We were, Brother Den, we would look classy.
Deluxe apartment,
baby.
In the sky.
In the sky. Really, really bougie apartment. Had high ceilings and everything.
It was.
But we went there, and even when we got there, so we started going to our church home, which is CRM. Shout out to CRM City Fellowship Church.
And all the CRM family friends. That's now City Cathedral.
Yeah, City Cathedral Church. But we started going there, and we started seeing other people that were doing stuff we had never seen before.
Crazy.
Like with people that were going to college. I think you started going to college then. Business owners. We saw, just more elegant, just the mind shift. And then what Bishop Wooders was teaching.
When you're not like that, you don't call them elegant. When you're not like that and you're on the outside looking, you call them bougie.
Yeah, they bougie. And we found out, no, that wasn't the case. It was just a mind shift.
Different move.
And I remember Bishop preaching different sermons about mind over money. You know what I'm saying?
Bankrupt to bankroll.
Bankrupt to bankroll. Bishop Wooders, shout out to you. We still remember. Bankrupt to bankroll. And different sermons like that was like, it made us kind of shift to where we wanted to now own a home.
Not just that marriages, we believe, I think before there we believed in marriage, but I think the option of a divorce was still lingering in the mind.
And then people that was there that was married, they had been married 30 and 40 years. Yeah. So it was like we had only been married. Yes, we had only been married for so many years, but they were like homeowners, different people that was there. And then one of the ladies came to our house, to our apartment, and she was a real estate. Shout out to Olivia. She has been our real estate agent forever. So, but we thank God for her. But Olivia Williams, she literally came to the house and she was like, "Have y'all ever thought about being a homeowner?"
Well, she can't just say it. Can't just jump there because my wife, we made this apartment home. Every apartment we went to, we made it home. My wife did a good job of making it home.
Baby, we put up curtains. I made sure we made our apartments homes. And people would come in and be like, "Man, this look like a home."
Yep.
Versus an apartment. Like, y'all living in this like a whole home. But I realized after sitting down with Olivia that we needed to make a change.
And she said in an apartment, she looked around and said, "Man, like you said, y'all, this place is like a home. Why y'all don't have a home?" And I'm reading a book right now. I'm listening to it called Atomic Habits. And one thing this guy talks about in Atomic Habits, for you to create new habits, you got to create new circles. You can't be around old thinking people.
Right.
And I say that to you. I hope you listen to me. Every time we do this podcast, I hope you're sitting there with a bowl catching all the drippings of the things we're going to share with you, because it's so important. No, you're not better than your own friends, but you want better.
Right.
So if you want better, you got to do better. So you can keep them in there as one small circle that you deal with on a regular basis, or every now and then, but you got to become part of the environment you want to become. So ironically, at this new church, it created a new environment for us. And Olivia, people believed for us things that we didn't believe for ourselves. And she said that, and we began to think that, could we? We were thinking to be homeowners, you had to be wealthy. You had to have all these things. And she opened the door and we looked. How many houses we looked at today when we started looking?
12, 13
houses
probably.
in
It was
one
a
day.
bunch of houses that we looked at, but we finally got into our home that we wanted for our kids. And it was a
First home.
2-story home. It was a 3-bedroom. No, 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom.
2, 3
1, 2,
bedroom,
3,
four.
4.
Because that game
We
room
turned
was
the other
considered
room into
movie
we
room.
made it a movie theater.
Theater seats and all.
Yes. And then we had the backyard with the playground and all of that. And then the gate. It was a very nice home, a beginner's home.
Yeah.
And in that home, we stayed at home. And that's after Alana. So I had Alana. And so.
Nice neighborhood and everything.
Nice neighborhood, yeah. And so after I had Alana, when I had Alana, literally, these girls grew up in this home.
Yeah.
They grew up and we have lines that we created. The more they grew up, then Madison was, we created Madison in this home. Now the home is they're 11.
Yes.
Kiana is 11 at the time. And we had been in that home for almost
watch this.
11 years.
I got to set the stage for this
Mm-hmm.
because we've been in this home 11 years. 11 years, right? But I had never owned a home. My dad built a home, but my mom, we was kind of like nomads. If you know what a nomads move around a lot. And we moved around a lot. And so to me, I always dreamed when I was in high school that I was going to have 2-car garage. I was going to have a nice house, wife, 3 kids, picket fence. At this point, and 2 cars. And at this point, we had everything but the picket fence. It was, I guess we did have a picket fence.
We did. We had a fence in the
white
back.
picket fence, but it was a fence around the back, right? It was everything, right? So to me, watch this. Every woman out there who get frustrated with your husband because he don't want more. Watch this for every husband out there who get frustrated with his wife because she don't want more. To me, I had made it. I was living my dream. But my wife had already lived in the house. She had been on property. I didn't realize your dream was higher than mine.
Shoot, I didn't either. What you talking about? I didn't know either. I knew after being in that house, we were there for 11 years. It was one of those moments where, I dream a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a dream of us in another house. And I could
dreams.
not understand, and I couldn't shake Brother Devin. And I would get on his nerves because we were living in this nice neighborhood, nice house, with these kids able to get off the bus right by the door of the house and go straight to school. It was amazing.
Perfect.
But
we had trusted our neighbors to get them from school.
Yeah,
One
pick them
time
up
we
from
was
school.
late.
What?
Hey, can you go pick up Madison or Lana from the school? And they went and picked up Lana.
Nah, let's be real.
That's a whole nother
Bishop was
journey.
friendly with the neighbors, but ain't talking to nobody.
My wife was not neighborly.
I was
Still
not neighborly. Still not
She
neighborly.
stayed next to her mama. Don't even visit her mama.
I know. I got to do better. But I will say this, though. In this moment, I remember driving around looking for houses.
Yep.
And I don't understand why am I wanting more, but these dreams keep coming to me.
Yep.
And I literally felt God say, okay, not that he came and sat down with me. I just got a feeling like, baby, it's time for us to move.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't know where we're going. I don't know. And by this time, Obama was in office and he was able to give military. We were paying Devin, this finna mess you up. And whoever's watching, we were paying $600 a month
in mortgage.
In mortgage. Who does that?
Because original mortgage was $1,200, but
Mm-hmm.
Obama made it to where you can get 50% off your mortgage. I don't know how he done that.
For the military. He did it for veterans.
And we got that. We did that deal. I don't even know how we got that, but it was we was paying a third of our rent.
I don't get it. And we were struggling.
Yeah. Well, no, not at first.
No, not at first. No.
But
no, it was after we started struggling. After I told you, I said, and look, check, I want to make sure I say this because when God started showing me, okay, it got to be something. I had an urgency of, babe, we got to move. This red joker had the audacity to say, girl, stop. That ain't God speaking. That's them beans.
That's them beans. That's them everything
That's
else.
them cabbage. I'm like,
because I had this mentality.
You being funny, but I'm really feeling
and
this.
I want to highlight that because, and I want to highlight that for every man out there and every woman out there because I don't want you to think, well, you just listen to our story. I want you to find yourself in our story. My wife was saying, I am you, you are me. We're talking past tense on what probably may be your present. And so it may be your present twice, your present situation and your present to unwrap so it could become a gift for you. But, she began to talk about those things. But once again, her dream is 3 things I want you to get here. Your thought, God's plans, and the one in your relationship's dreams is lining up with God's plans. So you may be frustrated because somebody don't see what you see. and they don't know what God is already showing you. I didn't know what God was showing us. I'm like, man, we're here. And I was so excited that we was here that I was ignoring God's plan. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear another growth. We had moved so much. I didn't want to hear another move. I'm like, I'm going to ignore that. And I sure don't want to hear from her. You being spoiled. You can't ever be happy. You can't ever, get satisfied in something. I was so anti-development. And so she would upset me because I know it take, we live, one thing about when we lived in Conroe, the store was like 5 minutes away. You go down the road and come back. She would go to the store and come back like an hour later. I knew where she was. She was driving through them dead-gum neighborhoods and was looking at all these houses, and it offended me at first because I'm like, what we got ain't good enough? You want something else? I literally thought, you must want a different man, a man that can give you more. But talk about that feeling. Why was you looking around?
I don't know. I have no idea why I was looking around. I just knew what I felt. I always go off what I feel. Mm-hmm. If God give me something, I'm going to go off, not what I feel. Let me say this. But if God showed me in a dream, I know it's possible. Wow. I didn't know how, but I knew it was going to be possible.
I can't wait to hear my new sermon series starting Sunday. The sermon series titled
Instinct versus
Instructions.
Yeah.
It's all about that because I'm the instinct. You at that point was the instruction. I don't want to get you caught up in it, but I can't wait to talk about it because it's all about this.
Yeah, I literally knew, because from the time we met to that time, I only went on what God told me.
Yeah.
And what I felt. You know what I'm saying? Like if I with the emotional cheating, I felt in my spirit. Devin, I'm in the room. I got 2 toddlers. I have a 2-year-old and I got a baby. And my baby is like, she's not even crawling yet. So she had to be 3 or 4 months old. But I'm sitting in the room and I literally feel that there's a conversation going on with you and a woman. Wow. But I can't put my hand,
I want to talk about what the Butterfly Academy meant to me. The Butterfly Academy was life-changing to me. Like things that I only dreamed of or I thought that I kept suppressing and putting back in my head. The Butterfly Academy taught me it's okay to dream big. That if God put it in my belly, it can be birthed. And the change in me is so personal. The mental block, the places where I felt stuck, that can be moved. Like even learning steps and learning foundations and learning core values, that meant everything to me. Even learning about having accountability, integrity, the foundations, accountability and integrity. That's something that's core values that you cannot get past, and your name goes above everything. Even when people don't even know you, they'll know your name and they'll hear what kind of person you are. Embracing my identity of who I am in Christ. That was a lot. Just holding on to that, and even accepting the fact that it's okay for me to say that I'm not okay. So to even when I decided to go ahead and get professional help, because Pastor T was so transparent on getting help and being okay to say that you're not okay. So that helped me a lot. Even like dreaming about helping others. My mom used to always tell me that you're a good cook and people love eating your food, but you like helping people. So even to say that I want to even go into my next level to put in and help, because I had the desire one day of having a youth home for girls who've aged out of foster care. And that's a desire of mine. And who's going to stop me from doing it other than myself? So I know that's something that I can do. Me making that step and not feeling guilty about saying that I wasn't okay, even to set aside this time, it changed my thought process and it changed how I listen to things. So I'm so grateful for even the opportunity of being able to be a part of this class. And I really pray God's blessings over Pastor Tonya, because she poured out in her heart and she was so transparent. Like it wasn't no fake stuff. I done dealt with a lot and seen a lot of that. Even how she honors her husband, even with the stuff she's saying, how she honors him and honors who he is in her life. That's a blessing to even see that. And I really appreciate that the books that she has encouraged us to read and the books that I'm reading and started to read, and that it's mind blowing. It's life changing. And I'm just glad to have had this opportunity.
But I can't put my hand, the face to the woman. But I saw it in a vision.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck? And then you started coming home talking about it. And it was like, okay, that's the woman. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
I went off that feeling, but I wouldn't say nothing. And you know me, I ain't gonna say nothing for a minute.
Yeah.
Until I know that I know. And at that time, I'm driving around because I know. But now I'm telling you because I know that I know, it is time for us to move. And when I said that, and all of a sudden, when you came against it, all hell started breaking. I don't know if you can say that on YouTube, but it felt like HE double hockey sticks.
So I'm talking.
It literally felt like that.
So a piece of me felt like it was time, and if I could be honest now, a piece of me knew it was time because I began to see the signs. But
you would never tell me that.
I wouldn't because I did not want you to get caught up in it, right? And I began to feel it, right? So what happened was, it was like, so we talk about, for those who just chiming in, listen to us, or maybe you listen to us and forgot what the topic is. The topic is overcoming homelessness. So God pushed us out of Houston. God pushed us to Conroe. God spoke life into us to move. Now faith moves are not necessarily easy moves. Faith move is like you feel in your heart something God telling you to do, and you got to do it. You don't have to. We did it. We moved out of Greenspoint. We moved out of the apartment. Now we're in the house where I'm like, okay, I don't want to move no more. I want, watch this here. Them easy moves at first, like, ooh, thank you, Lord. We're getting out of this. And thank you, Lord. What happened when the move is to something you don't want yet? When God is pushing you to something higher than what you even dreamed of. Yeah. Now that faith becomes fear because now it's bigger than where I want to go. So
it becomes doubt, and it becomes procrastination, and it becomes. But I saw the evidence of faith will follow our faith. Favor will follow our faith. If we just do it, God will give us favor. I didn't know how, and I felt like I was overdoing it, so I shut up and I stopped talking. And I stopped bringing it up.
When she stopped talking, God started talking.
Woo.
Because one day I was riding my truck. This is like when everything began, right? One day I was riding my truck. It was my red pickup truck. And all of a sudden, I can always tell when God is trying to get my attention because stuff started falling apart. My radiator busted on my truck. So we had a little money saved up. Boom. That sucked up. I had to get my truck fixed. And then after the radiator started, busting my truck, next thing you know, in the house, we started having issues with the hot water heater. And we got to get it fixed. That sucked that right up. And then we had problems with air conditioning.
It was a brand new freaking air conditioner. And the air conditioner went out.
The first one went out.
Yeah.
And so that sucked up more money. Yeah. I was pulling out every resource I had saved up that was my security. God just sucked it all.
He took every last bit of it.
And then here we go again. Something else happened. I can't remember what happened. I think something happened to the vehicles or whatever.
Oh, yeah, the vehicles. We tried to, because we were paying Peter to pay Paul.
Oh, so the truck wasn't the first thing. The truck was the last thing right before. I think the air conditioner and everything went up, and we sucked the money up. And then the truck happened. I had to use the car note to get the truck fixed. Mm-hmm. That's what happened. I had to use car note to get the truck fixed, and we had to use part of the house note to get the truck fixed.
But then we called the people trying to do right, and telling them, hey, and we did like a deferred payment or something like that.
Yeah, we did a deferment.
Yeah, on the car.
The deferment, that's a whole nother story on deferments. Deferments can get you caught up. And we used it, so we was shifting things around. And God was letting all these things happen to put us in this box. We did a deferment, and then we moved some money for the car note. But then,
kind of explain deferment for that person that don't know real quick.
Deferment is like you got a car note. You got your house. You say your car is due every 30 days. Your car note is due, and you're supposed to pay it off in so many months. Well, if you know for a fact you're supposed to be finished off, let's say January of 2028. Well, if you do a deferment, you take this note and you put it on the end of your note, and now instead of paying off in January, you're gonna pay it off in February 2028. But I thought that was just a simple thing, buying a month. But at that point when I got a deferment, it says that it was possible that if you miss one day, we can come get it. Versus having that 30
And they
days.
don't give you no 7 days later, no 3 days later. They come pick that bad boy up that next day.
So they picked up my car. We was late on the car. And then the house was already behind on the house note because everything was happening. We were trying to get caught up. And it's like, then the hot water started messing up again. Air conditioner started messing up again, and then animals moved into the attic.
Yeah, raccoons was in the attic. And then, now check this out. Remind you, all this is going on, but we're still doing ministry. Brother Devin, we're still pastoring.
At this point.
We were pastoring at this point. Bunch of butts in the seat, over 200 plus probably, butts in the seat. But all of this is going on. We looked like a success within the church, but we were a private failure, private failure at home. And because we weren't good stewards of what we had.
But I won't say that.
I say we wouldn't.
I'm going to let you say that.
Because we would spend money on so much food going out to eat. For me, I would say we spend. You don't think so? Talk to me.
Obviously, going back and looking on it, could we manage money better? Possibly. But I believe it was more of a God thing, man. Okay. I believe it because we didn't know no better.
No, we didn't at all.
We actually was trying. We were struggling. And look back on it now, we know like, man, but it's like, I think it's bad when you know better and you don't do better. Mm-hmm. We didn't know any better.
You're right.
So I believe God took our ignorance and used it to promote us and then taught us in our new level how to become more better students.
I agree.
So as we begin to lose everything, and so now, watch this here. So we get the car repossessed while we already behind on the house. We didn't think the car was going to get repossessed. We thought we were just behind on the house. So we think, okay, we're going to get this house fixed up. And the lady told us to stay in the house. You know, we was already behind like 3 months. Mm-hmm. Like $600 a month, but we behind 3 months. And I'm making pretty decent money, but God has made it so impossible because everything is falling apart around us at the same time. It's like, God, we can't get a break.
And then on top of that, my sister was the day that my sister she found out she had cancer, throat cancer. And the day that we were going to go and take her to the hospital, I walked outside and no car. We had never experienced that in our life. Ever. Then on top of that, our niece came over one day. It was like God was silently showing others, like, these people go through too. Because I think they thought we was rich.
Yeah, I think
and they found out that we were not that rich. No, we're not rich. And so I figured out when Shantae came over and the lights was out. And Brother Devin, we sitting there chilling. Because it's daytime. We don't need no lights anyway. We are fine. We didn't have the money to pay for the light bill. So we're sitting here watching.
Enjoying the television show.
Enjoying the whole television show. Lights go out and we just sitting there. But we started making it a conversation for our kids so that they wouldn't feel the blow of what was happening. And then Shantae comes.
And lights go out and all next time hears.
And we thinking, oh, somebody turned off the lights. No, it's Shantae at the door. Shantae, our niece, is at the door. She comes upstairs. We're sitting there talking. And she sat there for about 30 minutes. She said, wait, y'all lights off?
Not y'all.
Not y'all. Now y'all being the one. But not in a bad way, though. But, like, she was shocked.
Yeah, like, not y'all. Y'all the ones do good.
Y'all the ones that do good.
I remember lights going off. I remember gas being turned off. I remember all these things happening multiple times. And it's like we were trying our best, but it was like it wasn't enough.
And I know that person may say, okay, but y'all had 200 butts in the seat at y'all church. Why wasn't the church taking care of you?
That's a whole nother podcast.
And we did not want to take from the church. We still don't to this day. Unless, you give to a prophet, you receive a proper reward. There's some that do give to us, but we're not on a salary like that. It's like one of those, it's love offerings that comes. So but even at that time, it was like, no love at all. None of that was happening.
At all. So watch this. I'll never forget. So God had been talking to my wife for months. And I'm being a stubborn one. Like, I don't want to do it. And it got to the point, where it got really hard. So I don't know how this happened. But we asked Olivia to help us find, that's what happened. We knew about the little house. So we asked Olivia to help us find a rental house.
Property, yeah.
So we went and found this rental house, and it didn't work out. They told us no. And I gave them some paperwork that I needed. And so for some reason, but that house wouldn't let me go. So I think we stayed in the house like 3 months, and we couldn't pay the house, but about 3 months. But I went to the rental house, and I fell in love with the rental house. I don't know why. I was at work one day, and God told me, He says, look here, I want you to drive by that rental house every day. I want you to, on your way to work. Now listen, we moved to I was working in Kingwood now. He said, God is pushing us towards Kingwood. On your way to work, stop by this house, pull in like it's yours, pull out like you're leaving home, and head to work. When you get off of work, I had to pass by the house, pull into the house like you're coming to work, then leave and go home. And I did this here for a long time. And all of a sudden, the lady says, out of nowhere, I need a piece of paperwork that I gave them because I was trying to go play golf somewhere. And I called them. I was like, hey, ma'am, I gave y'all a piece of paper. Can you give me that piece of paper back? I needed it because da-da-da. She said, oh, are you sitting resting in the house? I said, yes, ma'am, I am. She says, well, we may be able to work something out. You'd think it'd be instant, but it wasn't. But that was like God told me to do this, and the answers happened. But before then, me and my wife was sitting there thinking to ourselves, look here, we robbing. We stealing, staying in this house. Because we've been in this house 3 months, ain't paid nothing.
Yeah.
And long story is a long story behind it, but it was the best thing we did to leave the house when we did, because if we didn't leave the house then, like we said, that situation with camping apartment later wouldn't have ever happened. But us having a short sale, remember? Yes. The short sale wouldn't have happened because we wouldn't still there.
Right.
Long story. But getting beyond that, so we say, you know what, let's get out this house. We don't have anywhere to go. We don't know what God's going to do.
Yeah.
We wait in this apartment, but like it's not going to happen. There's rental house, but like it's not going to happen.
Right.
What happens then? Talk about us moving out our dream home.
We moved out. We knew we didn't want to go stay with our parents. Love them, but no thank you. How you going to move out and then make a choice? Oh, where you going to stay when you don't have nowhere to stay?
It's like God told us to get out twice. I'm sorry. God told us to get out where we were three times. Oh, okay, keep going.
Lord, don't tell us to get out again.
No, please.
Please, Jesus. But when we finally moved, because I'm like, I don't want to be stealing from nobody. This ain't right. We come and we knew we had a room at the church. We had a shower. We have a kitchen. We had a place that we could stay. And so we came up here and we lived. We parked in the back of the church because we didn't want nobody to know that we were literally living and hiding at the church. And I think we stayed here like a month.
About a month. Because we were waiting on an apartment to get approved. The house to get approved.
Not apartment, but
the
house to get approved. We get approved. We get in the house. We're in the house. Amazing, but this house is way more than the other house.
That's the key thing.
And
right?
we did not understand how I'm gonna give you numbers. It was $1,800 a month. How you go from $600 to that you cannot pay to $1,800 where we never missed a note.
Never missed a note.
Never ever missed a note.
Didn't get extra money. Didn't get extra checks. Didn't get extra pay raise. It's like when we was obedient.
No. We got extra money because you got a raise after a year or two.
That raise didn't happen until we moved to the apartment.
Right. No, that raise happened before then, husband. You got the raise before then.
We'll talk about that off the podcast. I'm going to have to catch you up because I know you said my dates are wrong, but
your dates be wrong. You be all the way wrong. But while we was there, you ended up getting the opportunity to go travel. So now we're in this apartment, and I was working that didn't really bring no money though, but it.
You know what? I got the PC job when we moved.
Yes.
I wasn't traveling yet. I got the PC job. So a little bit of promotion.
Yeah.
I did get a little bit of promotion, but still it shouldn't have been enough to cover that much of a difference.
No, it was like God provided, but we started becoming good stewards. Very good. When you go through homelessness, you literally we ain't finna be out here just spending. We're gonna make sure we do right.
I gotta say this because I think part of it was, God gave us promotion. But I believe in my heart that when we became obedient and did what God said, move, God took all the strain off.
Yes, He did. God so true.
Opened up the all the things that was costing us, all the cost left because us being disobedient. God literally had so much, and we didn't know. See, some people take disobedience as, oh, you smoking, you better stop being disobedient. You drinking, you gotta stop being disobedient. Disobedience is doing anything God told you to do, and you're not doing it. And God was telling my wife to move. God was telling my wife through me to move. God was telling me to move, but I was ignoring it. And the fact that we didn't move, God said, you know what? Watch this here. I'm not going to punish you, but I'm going to take my grace off.
That part.
I graced you to get this house. It was God's grace for us to get the house. But if you're going to outlive my grace, I'm going to take my grace off, and you're going to see the weeds start growing. You're going to see the scales start. Everything that shouldn't happen going to happen because God's hand was on it first. Now I'm going to want you to leave. So you got to realize, just because it was a blessing before, there was a transition. God, man, I can't wait to preach this sermon on Sunday, man.
Man, I feel like what Uncle King said. He said the wind has moved.
That's where my sermon coming from.
Oh, really? Okay, I ain't going to talk about it. But the wind is moving, and you got to be able to move with the transition. It's not that God is changing. It's just a mind shift of transition. And so I know for me, what I realized while we was at that house, and God said the second time, this time move, I want y'all to move, and I need y'all to move now. We knew then when I said, God told me, now, Devin, I'm in the room. Again, another experience. I'm asleep, but I'm not asleep. But I hear so clearly, downsize. My retarded butt grabs my phone trying to figure out what the heck does downsize
Are you
mean?
tired of working for someone else's dream? Do you have an idea that you know can change the world? Here are 3 essential steps to starting your business with insights from the Lion's Den small business community. Step 1, discover your why. The most impactful businesses are born from a deep-seated passion, a personal pain point, or a mission to solve a real problem. Step 2, build a solid foundation. This is where you lay the groundwork for a business that's built to last. The Lion's Den community emphasizes the importance of understanding your numbers, having a clear vision, and focusing on a strategic approach. Step 3, connect, collaborate, and conquer. You don't have to walk this path alone. The final, powerful step is to connect with the right people, embrace collaboration, and leverage the incredible power of a supportive community. Want to learn more? Join the Lion's Den today.
I'm in the same situation, and I literally hear downsize. So I started Googling, what the heck? This is 5 years after being in the house, after, going through sickness, after being on the cane, after enduring in my health. And now I literally I'm not gonna cry. Now I've really learned not just to trust him, but how do I trace where you are?
Exactly.
Like, it was a difference for me. I heard people say that crap, but for me, it became personal to where it no longer mattered what people thought. It no longer mattered after you go through a sickness in your body. It's like, and you know that if they tell you one thing, you're going to die.
Yep.
Lord, I'm going to live for you, and what do I need to do for you? And this is what I found out in that time. Devin, I'm sitting in the house. This is after my totem broke. I'm on a cane from being sick, on medication, and it's over, and I came out, and the doctors are confused because my kidneys started healing themselves. So, okay, Lord, it got to be something else. I ain't go through that for nothing.
Exactly.
I heard a dude say, you find God, you find your present in your darkest places. And I found my present I found my present in my darkest places. So every time we were in a dark place, we always found it was a great outcome.
Exactly.
So it was like, okay, after I went through that, something got to happen. But it was like in that dark place, I'm sitting in the room, but I'm in a great place. And I'm just like, okay, what's next? And I hear the word downsize. And so I literally started researching, what does downsize mean? And I knew it was something to move out of this house. You walked out of, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning, Devin. Bishop is in the other side of the house. I'm on the other side. We walk out at the same time, and you said, baby, it's time to start a business.
Exactly.
Downsize, start a business. Please make that make sense. I couldn't understand how was this going to happen when you're thinking something else, and now I'm trying to tell you we got to move again.
Yep. And I'm finally starting to trust God, because before I wasn't trusting God because God was pulling me too much. I'm like, God, I was okay. But now you're trusting God for the first time. Now we're trusting God at the same time, but for different things. Yeah. I'm trusting God for business. You trusting God. And it seemed as though we was pulling against each other, but at the same time, we was pulling in the right direction God wanted us to go in.
Yeah. But I knew downsize for us, I knew it was an apartment.
Yeah. And I didn't.
And you did not. You was like, that'll be a
God,
no.
I didn't trust you to go up. And now you want me to go back?
He was like, we can, look, Devin, he said, we can rent another house. I'm like, no, I heard downsize. And downsize means to have something less. You wanted a quadplex,
yeah, I wanted
a duplex.
Yeah, they wanted a duplex. I was going to duplex because it felt like a house still. You know what I'm saying?
We went in that duplex, and brother, then we walked right back out.
Yeah, it wasn't working.
That duplex was too little, and that did not work for us to stay in, but we knew it was going to be a year.
Yeah.
So finally, we going to move. We said, okay, we're going to move in this apartment. We moved in a townhouse apartment. That was a 3-bedroom apartment.
Walked in the apartment complex, and when we was doing the contract, I looked at the lady. I said, we only going to be here a year.
And she was like, no, we can just sign for 2 years.
I said, we're going to be a year. So we building a house. And when we build our house, we're going to build a house. We weren't even looking at a house.
We didn't even have no house.
I said, we're going to build a house, and we're going to move out in 1 year, and we won't have to extend this lease out. And she looked at me and almost like, what they all say. Yeah.
That literally, and she, little nasty self, she literally did that. But we were there for a year.
We moved out. This time, intentional homeless.
Intentionally, on purpose, home, because we had started building the house, and We built our house from the ground up, and that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
To where we walked in not knowing that we could do it, but we started paying off debt.
Yep.
I started working, this is during the pandemic, so I started working from home for your company, for GE.
That was my company.
It was their company.
I was working with them.
You was working with them, but we were both working at home. Every dime we got, this is where you have to learn how to become a good steward to what God has given you. Every dime we had, we sold where we wanted to go, and we made sure we paid off debt. We took my first check, and I heard the Lord again. I know they're going to be like, Lord, this girl hit the Lord too much. But I felt it in my shana now. Pay your first check to your church. Give that whole check to the church. I had never done that, David, in my life. Never. And what kind of shoes I could have bought? You know what kind of outfits?
If they remember the podcast a couple weeks ago, a couple of podcasts ago when I said that we was at a church and they gave $100 and we said, we're going to maybe do that one day.
Yes.
Now we went from saying that to giving a whole paycheck.
Whole paycheck. And we gave that paycheck and God doubled it.
Yep.
And then we started sowing into our bishop. God doubled it. And then we started paying off debt. When I paid my last debt off, our last debt off, they end up letting me go.
Yep.
It was 6 months later.
And
they end up letting me go. And we just signed a deal for the house.
To start building a house.
Start building our home. And from there, y'all, it has been up from there.
Yep.
Completely.
So the key thing I want to make sure that we highlight on this journey is that retrospect. They always say hindsight is 20/20. What means that if you look back, you see perfectly what God did, right? But when we was in it, we didn't. And so you may be in the middle of something right now. You don't realize that what God is doing for you right now, right? But we was in an apartment, and all hell broke loose in the apartment. And we knew then we could not raise our family here. We got to be responsible. We got out of here. Didn't realize there was God pushing us from Houston to Conroe. We get in Conroe, get around better people, thinking better, believing better, dreaming better. I mean, we finally made it to a deluxe apartment in the sky.
I can't.
Moving on up. And it was nice, man.
Mm-hmm.
Kids had their own bedroom, and they didn't have their own. They had to share, but it was nice. And we get there, and someone walking our home, and they see, and we believe we should be able to get a house. We were driving around looking at houses, but we don't think we can have it. The woman spoke life and just said, y'all can have a house. Walked us through it, and God pushed us, again, to the house. And we in this house now, and we see what happened is we so small-minded, we don't realize where God has us is not what God wants us. Listen, I promise you, I don't care if you 40, I don't care if you're 30, I don't care if you're 20, I don't care how old you are. The Bible says, God says, I have a plan for you, plan to prosper you, not to harm you, plan to give you hope in the future. You won't die where you are unless you accept where you are as your end.
Right.
God has way more for you. So we get here in this house and we made it, man. And all of a sudden God's telling us no. God may use your wife, God may use your husband, God may use your kids, but God's going to use someone to tell you that this is not it. God spoke to my wife and said, it's time to go. I tried to ignore it, but God said, you know what? No, I'm going to take my grace off where I am. How about shit? I'm going to take my grace off. Every time when you look in the Bible, when God was ready for them to move, God took his hands off and basically said, it's time to pack up and leave. It's time to pack up and leave. God is always trying to grow you. Where you are is not where you want you to be. He wants you to always move and be that nomad, but that intentional nomad. So God told my wife, it's time to move. We moved into the next house. We was homeless. We had to go down because
to come back up.
We had to go down and come back up. We have to die to who we were so we can resurrect to who God wants us to be. And now we're here and God's moving us again. Moved us again. And now some more stories are going to come out of this, but what I want you to get from this whole entire story is that how do we overcome homeless? Keep moving.
Keep moving.
Couldn't stop. We never truly was homeless. We were just without a house. But God always provided. We walked out of an apartment into a church that we were renting, and we had room to stay. It wasn't ideal, but it was a good transition. So, I mean, this I wanted to talk about this because I think so many people, sweetheart, get in situations, two things. They get in situations that they think is it, and they stay there too long.
Right.
Or number two, God will move them out, and they think God is punishing them.
Right.
And think that, well, God is punishing me, and they go down, and they don't never come up because they like, okay, well, God took me out this apartment. I'm going to go back, stay home, mama, and I stay backwards, and didn't really see the godness in the transition. So I'm glad we did this podcast. What words, would you lead them on?
I would say every transition that happened, it had to happen, and it was necessary. And one of the things I think we didn't talk about, we had to go to noodles, peanut butter and jelly. Also taught us for Christmas that one day we could not pay for Christmas for our girls. And so we created, Christmas is coming up. Great idea. Don't have to take it. But because we didn't have anything to give, and we went to the dollar store and just got them little bitty toys just to say, for Christmas. But we made it a tradition to where, Devin, that day, I was like, we got to come creative, because we don't have no money. We got to come creative. Let's go to the dollar store. We're going to get these 3 gifts for each child, and we're going to make cookies for Santa. We're going to have milk out for Santa. We're going to wake up the next morning, and Bishop brought this up. We're going to do a scripture from Jesus getting the 3 gifts for, they brought the 3 gifts and they had to read it. Yeah, they had to read it out. When I tell you, because of that, now, years later, we still do that tradition today. Yep. We wake up in the morning, they still don't get nothing but 3 gifts. And we literally, their gifts are bigger, of course, but
you learn how to squeeze 5 gifts into one.
Yeah, 5 gifts into one. But we get up and we have the fireplace going and we read the story of Jesus. And everybody, we're excited because they know it's no Santa, okay? But I made my babies think, I don't care what nobody say, don't judge me. But it was a tradition for my babies to have that experience. Yeah. But even in that,
they say, thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus. Every time they open a gift, they don't say, thank you, Mama, thank you, Daddy, but thank you, Jesus. But the next thing that I loved in this transition is that the second transition, the first one the kids weren't really a part of, we hid them from it. But now they're older, Devin, so now we got to talk to them and have a conversation. And in that conversation, because of us telling them, babies, we're going to live like no one else so that we can live like no one else, they embrace the transition, that we couldn't go out buying stuff, we couldn't do stuff. And because of that, now, because of us downsizing, rebuilding a home from the ground up, my daddy deeding us land, an acre of land that we now have. And because of that, our children now get dividends from our company. Yep. Because of their stewardship. Yep. And now they work. Some of them work for the company. And one of them probably want to work for the company. She probably want to quit her job and work, but she not. But we learn how to do that. So what am I saying is that if it's within your family, if they're old enough to understand, teach them what's going on so they can know how to handle money or handle when they become homeless or what they experience. I think that's so important. Don't leave your babies out. Allow them to be the part of the process when they're old enough to understand. That's it. I think when they were old enough, it was so much better.
That's it. Yeah. I think if we continue, growing and we continue realizing this ain't it. We're living in a nice home now. We're living on an acre of property that we was given, really 6 acres.
And now Devin is switched. Now this joker feeling his shot enough.
I believe it won't be long before we will have more property. I don't think we will abandon this property. I think it'll be property that we'll either give our children or something. But I feel in my heart that God says to me over and over again, I want you to have property that you can pass on to your children. So we don't know what God's going to do next, to be continued. So I think it's a time for today. We've done, I think now is maybe our next podcast will be something a little different. Yeah. We've done a lot. We've got so much more to tell. I'm pretty sure our story's going to come back up in these journeys or whatever. But we're going to try to deal with some current events. We're going to try to deal with some other things. If you see some things that you want us to talk about, feel free to inbox us, let us know. Send them to us in an email. But we want to continue growing together, build this community. We want you to get to know us more through our experiences, the lessons that we've learned. We want to make sure you learn them. And you don't have to, we always say that if you can learn from our mistakes, you don't have to make the same mistakes we made. Or if you do make them, you don't have to say them as long as we did. But babe, enjoy our next podcast with each other. More to go.
That's what's up. Stay blessed.